Good evening, Bahamas. On the broadcast tonight, a doctor talks long-term health risk for those residents exposed to landfill fires. A progressive Liberal Party MP weighs in on the F&M DNA drama. Plus, the competition heats up in the kitchen as chefs battle it out to make the national culinary team. And the Bahamas All-Star Band prepares to show up and show out on the other side of the world. Welcome to our news, the weekend edition, and thanks for joining us. I'm Andrew Knowles. Exactly 1 week after Jubilee Gardens residents were forced to evacuate their homes as a result of a massive fire at the New Providence landfill, a family physician is calling for assessments of those homes to be conducted before residents move back in. This as the doctor is expressing concern about the possible toxins that may linger after the all clear is given. We get that story tonight from Christina McNeil.
Possible toxins may linger inside homes throughout Jubilee Gardens even after the massive fire is extinguished. That according to medical director and physician Dr. Graham Cates. Dr. Cates spoke to our news at the Blake Road Family Medicine Center, explaining that toxins found in smoke from the huge fire may pose long-term health risks. But residents should take their health into their own hands and ask the questions that need to be answered.
What is happening with the landfill in terms of obviously the water table, in terms of the soil, in terms of obviously monitoring the air pollution and the quality of the air around the landfill, and making sure that we are being proactive to ensure that those things are being monitored, and if there are risks, how are we actually going to mitigate those risks? And that obviously is a governmental responsibility.
Dr. Cates adds that there are health risks associated with living near a landfill, and putting residential communities near landfills is not advisable.
It would certainly not be something that is advisable, and if obviously it has to be done because of lack of land available, then I think all of the right measures need to be put in place to maximize the protection of the environment that is in that immediate area. And there are certainly, again, a lot of proactive things that can be done to manage the landfill, to help to ensure that we reduce the risk of health short-term and long-term health consequences associated with potential exposure to toxins.
Based on some of the immediate effects of exposure to concentrated smoke, Dr. Cates advises anyone who does not have to be in the area to avoid it if possible. However, there are those first responders who should be taking precautions as well.
The over-the-counter face mask that you get for painting and sanding your walls is not going to give you the protection that you need from the particulate matter that is found in the smoke, or is it going to give you any protection from the other gases such as carbon monoxide, ammonias, the dioxins that are found in the smoke. And there are special respiratory systems that should be used to help to maximize the benefit. And we must be proactive, and we must provide our first responders, our firefighters, our police officers, our environmental health agents with the proper equipment to protect themselves as well.
Reporting for our news, I'm Christina McNeil.
Meantime, addressing issues at the New Providence landfill begins with changing behavior that has become acceptable in this country. That according to activist Heather Carey, who represents the group Raising Awareness About the Bahamas Landfill, or RABBLE. Carey says in today's society where people are motivated by money, there ought to be some kind of incentive to prevent people from littering.
People don't want to turn in their neighbors. Everybody thinks it's okay, but we have laws against illegal dumping. So I honestly believe that a shortcut to addressing the problem before we can educate people in schools, which is a long process, is that we set up a fund. And you know what, if you see someone illegal dumping and you can document it with their license plate or something, report it, and you will get a reward, whether it's 100 or 500. People here sell their souls for $20 and $30 or a hammer or turkey.
She says changing small behaviors can have a major impact.
Once that happens a few times and people know they're being watched, I think it will cut back a lot. I mean, it sounds like a really sad solution to have to use, but I don't know what else to do in the short term while we teach people why this is really unacceptable.
While that may work for individuals, Carey says businesses also need to be more responsible. That includes finding solutions to dumping rather than adding fuel to the fire.
In the thick of it, I continue to see dump trucks full of green waste and other material driving through the smoke down Friar Trail Road West to dump that at newly sanctioned dump sites in the line of fire. And I cannot fathom that. So I just want to say, whoever's driving these trucks, whoever is authorized and sanctioned that this continues, please wake up and stop. We cannot continue to add fuel to these fires.
From the political beat tonight, Golden Gate's Member of Parliament Shane Gibson is calling the latest fallout between opposition parties a distraction. The Progressive Liberal Party MP says while the war over seats between the FNM and DNA has grabbed national headlines, it hasn't grabbed his attention as he is focused on winning his own seat. Jasmine Brown reports.
Listen here, I have my focus right now on winning Golden Gates. I hear all these things, I can't be distracted by that. I got my eye on the prize.
FNM leader Dr. Hubert Minnis told party supporters on Tuesday night that the DNA had requested 16 seats. DNA leader Granville McCartney denied that and added that Minnis wanted the DNA to dissolve, something he says would never happen. Gibson says at this point he doesn't care who asked for what.
Whatever they decide to do, whatever they decide to discuss, how they decide to deal with their business, I'm not getting mixed up with that.
As for the PLP's chances of winning the next general election, Gibson says it's looking good for the party.
We have our research that tells us exactly where we are strong, where we are weak, those things that we need to do in order to achieve our goals, and so we are working diligently to do that.
When asked to elaborate on those strategies, Gibson said there are some things that should remain in the party for strategic reasons.
We won't discuss our strategies openly. We won't give our opposition members information that will help them to counter what we are trying to do. But I'm satisfied that we are moving in the right direction at the time.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
The Democratic National Alliance will ratify its remaining candidates this week, according to party leader Granville McCartney, who admits the selection process has taken longer than expected. McCartney says that's because a DNA candidate cannot be ratified until the Candidates Committee, which has over 20 members, makes a unanimous decision.
We've ratified today publicly over 30 candidates. We will ratify the remainder next week. But it's taken us a bit longer because of the policy of there being a unanimous decision. So can you imagine a unanimous decision with 20 plus people?
However, McCartney says there is a reason this policy was put in place.
The reason for that is you see with other parties when someone would be ratified and it causes a division in the party because part of the other sections of the party wish to have somebody else ratified. So that was one of the reasons. But of course, with anything else, it has its pros and cons.
Now, the FNM has completed its full slate of candidates. The PLP has ratified all but one of its candidates due to an ongoing fight for Freetown between attorney Wayne Monroe and a former MP Frank Smith. The PLP is expected to announce its final candidate on Monday. Voter card distribution begins tomorrow. The Parliamentary Registration Department has announced that as a result of the approval of the report of the Constituencies Commission in the House of Assembly last month, the department can now begin the distribution of voters' cards to registered voters. As for the distribution centers, the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium for the constituencies of Mount Moriah, Killarney, Carmichael, Garden Hills, and Fort Charlotte. Remnant Tabernacle Church Hall on Carmichael Road for the constituencies of Southern Shores, Tall Pines, Golden Gates, and Golden Isles. St. George's Anglican Church Hall on Montrose Avenue is the collection spot for the constituencies of Centerville and Freetown. If you live in the St. Barnabas or Angliston constituencies, you can collect your voter's card from St. Barnabas Parish on Blue Hill Road and Wolf Roads. Wesley Methodist Church on Blue Hill Road and Chapel Street is the pickup point for those in the Bain and Grantstown constituency, while the William Thompson Auditorium on Jane Street is where the constituents of Marathon, Seabreeze, and Nassau Village can collect their voters' cards. The Epiphany Anglican Church Hall is for the Yamacraw and Elizabeth constituencies, and St. Anne's Church in Fox Hill is the collection point for St. Anne's and Fox Hill. Faith United Baptist Church on Blue Hill Road is where those who live in the Bamboo Town, Pinewood, and South Beach constituencies would go to pick up their voter's card. Now, distribution centers will be open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday, and the centers will remain open until Friday, March 31st. Still to come on our news, we get an update on operations at Park Avenue, so stay tuned.